that anything that you can imagine, anything that you can attempt, anything that you want is already here right now, inside of you. It's inside of you. We create twice. We create first from the inside, and the outside is what is a projection of the creations that are going on in here inwardly. We are that powerful. And so when we are mindfully aware in the present moment of that truth,
man, I'm super excited to be here right now for a number of reasons. First and foremost, you know I'm part of the Unstoppable brand, and we have a show called University Through Adversity. And I have a very special guest, Miss Gideon, who is really going to give a little bit of background and history on who she is, and then we're going to have a conversation that we can talk about anything. So there you go.
All right. Well, everybody's going to learn about me. I'm all about high vibe. So my name is Sherry Gideons with Sherry Gideons International. I am an international best-selling author, coach, speaker, executive coach, and spiritual leader. And really what I'm all about is about daring to be yourself, your true self. Every one of us comes here for specific reasons. Like, we come here knowing what our purposes are. And we believe that we can literally remember those purposes and step into that power. Now, how did that start for me? I came up during the evolution of the pro bodybuilding world.
Right.
You know, I started out as a power lifter on the Army powerlifting team in the 80s. I did.
Okay.
Yep. So, overweight woman, you know, struggled with obesity and, you know, different self-concept issues around weight, but I still wanted to meet up to that very, very awesome look that so many people were achieving in the 80s.
Absolutely. Well, two things that stick out, especially with your introduction. I mean, one of the things that resonates with me, you said you have a spiritual side to what you do.
Yeah.
And I want to start there first, because for me, my relationship with something that's bigger than me has been leading me my entire life, and I'm connected to it. But I want to hear your perspective. What does that mean?
Yeah, so for me, I would call myself always a spiritual seeker from the time I was a little girl. And I remember, you know, back in the early 70s, my family were ministers, and they would say to me, you know, don't ask questions, do as you're told.
Okay.
But the questions for me were always, why would we experience pain and suffering and setback and challenge if God is supposed to be love? And we're given this idea and this belief that God is always there for you, but we still go through challenges and struggles.
Right.
You know? So fast forward to the 90s, I'm in the pro bodybuilding world. I'm coming up during that evolution of the idea of perfect, and the expectation for higher and higher mass is getting huger and huger. And most of us know that you can't reach that level of mass without using substances.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, I want to say this. Obviously, whatever you did has still shown its face, because you look gorgeous. I want to say that. I think that's important. But not only that, you know, sometimes we struggle because of our own self-image and how we see ourselves. Talk a little bit about that, because, you know, our show is University Through Adversity. Can you speak to what that looks like?
Yeah, so my self-image was really about trying to meet up to that expectation of perfect. And I had a father who modeled the behavior that love was given based on achievement.
Of how you looked?
And how I looked.
Interesting.
Yeah, so fast forward back to the 90s, I'm experiencing certain experiences where I don't feel good about myself.
Sure.
Where I'm trying to meet up to other people's expectations. Where I'm hearing my own self-talk going on saying you'll never be good enough and you'll never reach the platform of the best. And so, again, I was using substances. I was using steroids and methamphetamine. And what eventually happened is I starved myself. I stopped eating. And of course, at the time, I started to have spiritual experiences that I couldn't explain.
Sure.
And during that time, I began to ask the question that so many of us ask. Why am I here? What am I meant to do? Is this what life is all about? Is pain and suffering and setback? And as I was going through that experience, on one level, I was begging to die. And on another level, I was begging to be saved. And again, I'm 78 pounds. I ended up having a massive heart attack and dying. I was released from the body. You mentioned earlier, this whole spiritual side of me, the practice of going from what I would call, organized religion to being what I call spiritual, where I had this near-death experience. I was released from the body. I was one with everything that existed, meaning I was the birds, the trees, the flowers, the air that we breathe. Everything. Everything was
all connected.
All connected. All connected.
Keep going, because this is important. And I want those who are tuning in to hear what we're discussing, because sometimes we get information that is completely wrong because it's been generationally passed down.
That's right.
And I want you to kind of educate people to open up their minds so they can be open to exploring.
Yeah. And let's face it, everyone is at a different level on their journey, okay? Right. So when we talk about being open, the quality of questions we ask ourselves determines the quality of life we live.
Right.
So going back to where I was, and I was asking those deeper questions, and spiritual experiences were starting to happen. When I had the near-death experience, you know how we're always told we're judged the day we die?
Yes.
It's not like that. It's not the way we've been told. What actually happens is we review everything that we've given in physical form through that which we've given to. So please be open to this, because, we're all here on a journey of remembering the power that we are. And we choose these experiences in order to step back into that truth. And so from my experience, being shown everything over, if it was you and I was 2 years old, 10 years old, 25 years old, or the current age I am now, I got to re-see through you and feel through you what you felt and saw as a result of what I gave.
Gotcha. First, a couple things resonate since we're having this conversation, because you said something earlier where you were on the panel about speaking it into existence and manifesting it.
Yeah.
And those are things that I have done in my own personal journey.
Yep.
So I realize how powerful they are. But sometimes, because we've been taught the wrong information, we don't know how to do it, and we're confused on what's the process to create it and make it a reality. So talk about that to help educate people who are tuning in for the first time.
Yeah, so again, I was told that we are all creators, that the greatest gift we've ever been given is to create our own reality, that we have that much power, we're that special. And so when we talk about speaking things into reality, I was met by Ascended Masters and Archangels, and they said to me that every single one of us is already whole, perfect, and complete.
Right.
That the same attributes that we would call God, the universe, our higher power, infinite intelligence, the perfection of that, we already have. We're not separate from. So again, when we speak our word, we're speaking our word as it. But there's a process that needs to take place when we do that. And a way that I teach that is what's called affirmative prayer.
Okay.
So how that works is, step one is recognition. There is one source, one power, one infinite intelligence, God, everywhere present. Step two is unification. That source lives through me, as me, within me. When I have recognized that and I have unified with it, I begin to speak my word, and I claim and I declare that which I am, which I am a piece of already, into existence. So ways that I would do that would be, I declare right here and right now that I am embodied and aligned in the truth, that I am whole, perfect, and complete, that everything that I need begins to show up and be pulled into my moments right here and right now, that I am dancing in the joy of the awareness of that perfection, of that love, of that wholeness, of that embodiment, of that fun, of that play, of that freedom of movement, to which I am unlimited, to which I am unstoppable. And then the next step is step 4, which is gratitude. How grateful I am to know this wondrous, glorious truth, this power that is there for me, has always been there for me, and always will be. And as I release my word into the action of the law, to the action of God, to the action of the quantum field, that energy that is everywhere present, tiny particles of white light, I know, I am certain that it is already so. I get out of the way of the how, and I allow, because there are infinite avenues, channels, and ways that will be pulled to me and revealed to me.
You know, and if you had a microphone, you could drop it right there. I'm being serious. And I could tell by your energy and your passion, because every morning I use Dr. Wayne Dyer, and I speak to myself all the time how strong I am, how resilient I am, how bountiful I am, and I'm very grateful, and I'm thankful that I'm present. And so when you see me, my energy speaks for itself, and you don't even have to, all you got to do is feel my presence, because when I come in, I can shift the room. And you have that same gift, and I'm excited that you were, and you just got excited. I don't know if you could tell.
I did. Let me just say this.
Please.
Let me use this as a perfect example. So I had a second near death delivering twins right before 40. Now, one of the twins was born without a throat. She was born with half vertebrae in her upper back, lower back, a hole in her heart, and double hernias. Now, I went into total cardiac arrest and died again. When I went to the other side the second time, I was told, you know who you are, you know what you meant to do, and you need to go back and do it. When I came back in, the heart cardiologist came into the room and he says, you have 37% heart function. You're going to be on your back for 6 months waiting for a heart transplant. And if you don't get a heart transplant, you could die. And he said, you'll never exercise again. Now, I told him, I said, you know what? I'm going to show you what's possible for all of us. I said, I know I will heal to 100%. And he says to me, that's airy-fairy thinking. He says, we need to look at this realistically. You're a very sick woman. I said, let me show you what's possible. And every day, instead of aligning and connecting with the appearance of dis-ease in the body, I went in and claimed, declared, and affirmed that which I was, because I'm not separate from my daughter. I claimed that for Haley and for myself. And people would come up to me and they would say to me, aren't you afraid? Aren't you worried? Have you planned your will? And I would say, no. I said, because I am already whole, perfect, and complete. So I bead every day from that vibrational energy that I already knew was true. And I would go into my imagination and I would imagine every cell dancing in the joy of its perfection. I would imagine my heart pumping perfectly. And I literally healed to 100%. I walked into the doctor's office 3 years later. He says, you're the most amazing person I've ever met in my life. And he says, you've gone from 37% heart function to 100%.
Right.
And we can't show signs of you ever having had any heart attacks.
Right. Well, and that in itself goes back to sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And that includes doctors, people who have high educations. They may be confused, but you got to remember, and I love that we're having this conversation, there's something bigger at play that we don't accept, but we have to really open our minds, be available to accept that we have gifts that we bring to the table. And for me, and we haven't had this conversation, but I want to make sure I share this so those of you who don't know a little bit about my story, I want to give you a quick snapshot. So, brain aneurysm, cellulitis, 2 strokes, heart surgery, defibrillator, back surgery, suicidal ideation, blood clots, COVID-19. And when I went through all of that, I was telling myself that I was going to heal and return to myself. And so people don't realize the words that you speak have power.
100%.
So I want to say this, and I really want you to take your time and think about it, because obviously our show is University Through Adversity, and I want you to really be open and transparent. If we were to lose you, if this is your last day to be alive, what would you tell our younger generation if you had a chance to pour into, inspire, and provide hope? What would you say?
I would say literally sky's the limit on your dreams, that anything you can vision, any idea, no matter how small that it may seem to you, that literally it is available to you, that anything that you can imagine, anything that you can attempt, anything that you want is already here right now, inside of you. It's inside of you. We create twice. We create first from the inside, and the outside is what is a projection of the creations that are going on in here inwardly. We are that powerful. And so when we are mindfully aware in the present moment of that truth in ourselves, that we are unstoppable, that we are unlimited, that we are special, that we are divine, and that we have power beyond our belief, even when we're faced with other people's opinions, even when we're faced with people laughing at us and maybe calling us crazy or telling us that we can't do something. It's about reconnecting and realigning with that awareness, with that clarity, with that recognition of that power within you. And at the end of the day, it's about trusting it and having such certainty and knowing that you can allow it to be sent out into the world, and that all of these different avenues, channels, and opportunities and ways will be delivered. It's none of your business. The how is none of your business.
Right.
It's about you standing in your power in the moment and just feeling that sense of joy and love for who you are, what you are, and why you are.
Wow. And you know, I love that, because that to me really is being self-aware, and not only that, being present and understanding that we all have everything we need. And I love what you said. It's already inside of us, but most people don't understand that. And once you get voices and parents and people of influence telling you that you're losing it, and you close that door because you don't believe that that's the truth. But the only reason I can know that it's true, because I've done it. And it's important. So I appreciate you being our guest.
Thank you.
You have been unbelievable. What we just talked about is so big. As you know, we face so many challenges in our lives. The Unstoppable brand is everywhere, but the university through adversity is what we're talking about right now. And I want you to really tune in and hopefully take something from this lovely young lady, if that's okay.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.